Oh,
Yes, you are, Renat.
okay. Yeah, great. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining from different parts of the world. My name is Rihanna, and it's so nice to host you today again for our monthly roundtable. So today's topic is one of like the pressing one. We have AI risk versus traditional software risk. So I believe we have our amazing guest speaker and also our co-host to unpack everything regarding this topic. Well, yeah, before we go into the interesting part of discussing the reason why we are here today, which is, of course, this topic, we have some people who are getting to know Technovel for the first time, and there is a need for us to just talk a little bit about Technovel. What exactly do we do? So before we go into that, we have a little bit of like some things to go over today. Talk about Technovel. What do we do? How can you join our community? Then also introduce the team before we now go into the full discussion of the day. So a little bit about Technovel. Um, Technovel is a global hub. And when I talk about global organization, we bring together tech professionals, just like we are doing today. We bring it together thought leaders to come share about the latest trends. So we are more about the latest trends. We are more about what is happening in the industry. And as a tech professional or business owner, how can we make good use of what is happening in the industry? And we specialize in demystifying information around cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, data analytics. So if you are in the intersection of any of these, or even if you are not in the intersection of any of these, I mean, cybersecurity is everyone's concern, whether you are a cybersecurity analyst or not. Same as AI, right? We tend to learn how to use AI, both on a personal level and also on a professional level, same as data analytics. So we come up with like emerging trends, we discuss the emerging trends, and also give actionable insight that could help you and I to build on our profile and also to be exceptional in the field, basically. So we have our mission, and why do we create Technovel? We build Technovel to empower people, to empower professionals, rather than overwhelming them. We know how overwhelming it can be with latest trends. Past to last year, there were just a whole lot of information. Even till now, we still have a whole lot of things flying around when it comes to artificial intelligence, and not just artificial intelligence. We have like a lot of information around, oh, what can we actually do with this information? Sorry, I'm trying. What can we actually do with this information that is happening in the industry? So that is one of our reasons for creating Technovel. And our vision is to see a future where technology inspires you, inspires myself to create real opportunities. We are not just working in the field, we also want to create opportunities. We want to be valuable in the industry where we are working on. And back to some of the activities that we do, Technovel is just beyond monthly roundtable. We are a full-blown community and we share a whole lot of things. We have a lot of activities that we do every day, every week. So for people that haven't really joined any of our communities, I'll be sharing the link to join. And also we have an interesting thing coming up next month, and I would like you to join our community to stay tuned about these interesting informations. One of our activities are monthly roundtable, and this like just like the one we are doing currently today, where we bring in a thought leader to talk about what is happening, more like a tech briefings of what happened this month. How can we learn from what happened this month? And beyond that, we also have our daily tech trends digest. If you followed our social media platforms like LinkedIn, Instagram, and also Twitter, Facebook, we post every week. And this is more of every day or every other day about this is what happened this week. These are the action items that you can take away from what happened this week. And also our predictive report, which we are currently working on. It's called like our tech pulse, summarizing all these key takeaways. You can use it within your organization. You can use it for yourself. You can, quote it, you can cite it when you are building something. And lastly, our Tech Novel community, like I mentioned. So if you are interested in like joining any of our communities, these are the handles for you to join. We are always active on LinkedIn, and we always have opportunities to bring to our community members, be it scholarship, job opportunities, mentorship, and also information session like just the one we are currently doing today. So I will be putting these here for like a few seconds for people that want to join any of our roundtable. And also towards the end of the roundtable, we will be sharing this as well for those that are not able to like get this. So I noticed that a few people just joined. Let me say welcome to Tech Novel Monthly Roundtable. We do this every month, and please do well to share where you are joining from, what you do, what you tend to gain from this session as well. Please put it in the comment section. We'd like to meet you, we'd like to connect with you. You can also share your LinkedIn link as well for people to connect with you. So beyond Tech Novel, we have like an amazing team beyond who we currently are. We have Victoria Gonsoya, who is going to be the co-host for today's session, and myself, Rihanna Abbas, also Dorcas Oebode, who is also the co-founder of Tech Novel. These are the brain behind what Tech Novel is building. And we also have our amazing social media team as well, and also our graphic designer for pushing and putting the creatives out there. So thank you everyone for working on this amazing project. So down to the reason why we are here today, we've talked about Tech Novel. For those that are not aware of Tech Novel, we are here to talk about an important discussion, something that you and I really want to learn from, which is AI risk versus traditional software risk. We have today our amazing guest speaker, a thought leader. So thank you for being here. For every innovation, like I used to say, there is a unique introduction of risk. Or let me put it this way, and so like innovation comes with its own uniqueness, vulnerabilities, right? It has a potential risk that we all need to be aware of. So today we have Blessing, which is our guest speaker. And guest Blessing is an information security professional, and she has over 6 years of experience in risk management and operational resilience. So she is in the intersection of artificial intelligence and technology risk management. So our guest speaker for today is that thought leader that is ready to unpack a lot of things. I know that we have questions. We are here to learn, same as myself. So we'd like to welcome Blessing. Blessing, thank you so much for joining us today. I would like to stop share my screen at this point so that we can go fully into our discussion for today. Blessing, thank you so much for joining us. It's so good to have you here with us.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Reinhard.
Yeah, good evening. Good evening. Blessing, we are at the middle of talking about AI, artificial intelligence. And this is no more a buzzword for majority of people. Businesses are now using it. And I think there was a report last year that talked about 70% of businesses are now embedding artificial intelligence. Even beyond businesses, personally, I use ChatGPT. I use a lot of LLM to optimize and also increase my productivity, right? But look, from the business standpoint, as much as 70% of companies worldwide are now incorporating AI into their systems. Gartner also said something that sort of like intrigued me around 30% of all these companies that are using the AI are the only one prepared for the aftermath of the risk, which means we still have a huge gap of a lot of companies that are not even thinking about risk management when it comes to artificial intelligence. So from your own standpoint, what do you see as the key ways in which AI systems bring risk that are sort of like different from traditional risk software?
Okay, thank you again for having me. I'm thrilled to be here, and hello everyone. So to understand the risk that AI brings, we have to understand what AI is. AI is artificial intelligence, and essentially is technology that it functions like that imitates the human brain. So it functions, it takes decisions, It solves complex problems the way a human would solve it. It's kind of imitates the human brain in a sense. And so if you think of it in that way and compare that technology with your traditional software and traditional technologies, you can see that we are playing in a whole different arena. And so they're a fresh set of risk, different from what we're used to. It's still technology, but it's pushed us into a whole new world, and companies and industries have to be prepared for it. So one of the top risks that AI brings, which is unique to AI and different from our traditional softwares, would be transparency. So I'm going to paint a picture so that we can grab it. Imagine you're using in your organization, you're using AI to determine who gets a job and who doesn't, to sort through applications and resumes to determine who gets promoted and who doesn't get promoted. Now, in your traditional software, you would have put some rules. Oh, we need someone who has this qualification. We need someone who has this years of experience. We need this particular, this is exactly what we're looking for. And then your software will go through all those resumes and all those applications and pick exactly what you have put in. But with AI, you're not the one prescribing the rules. You're not the one telling AI, this is what I need you to do to get this outcome. You just simply told AI, pick the best candidate for me. So there's a sort of black box. There's no linkage between the inputs and the outputs. And that's the general problem with AI. We cannot tell what the logic is behind a lot of AI decision making. And that lack of transparency is one of the first problems. I don't know if we'll have time to go into it. There's been lots of calls for regulation, and the EU now has introduced the EU AI Act. And basically, because of this transparency gap and this black box, there are some activities that have been ruled as prohibited, and no one is allowed to engage in those activities within the EU, specifically because of that transparency gap. So that's a very big risk, and that's something companies should be looking into. The second risk I would like to talk about is attack surface. By use of AI in the industries, even companies that say that, oh, we don't use AI, we don't use AI in our organizations, we all know that almost everybody uses AI. And so it has introduced the idea of shadow AI, just like we have shadow IT. And shadow AI is your personal AI or any other AI that has not been vetted by your organization and has not been classified as acceptable use. So for example, you're using ChatGPT, and you're putting in your company's documents and details. And ChatGPT is just one example. You're using any open AI platform. It is open and usually has less security measures in place. And so threat actors can get your information, if you're a software developer, you're putting grabbing your codes from open AI and things like that. You've increased the attack surface for threat actors to attack your organization. So the last risk I would like to talk about is bias. So AI, especially generative AI, and they're generally trained on data, and they make the decisions they make based on the data they have been exposed to. So to bring it home, if you should open again, ChatGPT is the very common AI platform, but if you should chat in ChatGPT and say, oh, imagine a picture of a successful professional, nine times out of 10, um, 9 times out of
Yeah, I think we lost our. Sorry, I think we lost our speaker for a bit.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can, definitely.
Okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'll quick recap. The first risk I talked about was transparency risk and the black box issue. The second risk I talked about was shadow AI, increasing the attack surface to your organization. And the last risk I was going to talk about was discrimination and data bias. And I was saying that AI runs on the data it has been exposed to. And so if there is bias in the data you have fed to AI, it translates that AI's decision is going to be biased. And I said to drive it home, if today you should open your favorite generative AI platform and tell it, imagine the picture of a successful professional. 9 times out of 10, it's going to give you a male as a professional, the picture of a male or a white male.
Yeah.
Can't women be successful? Can't
Yeah.
Black women be successful? But the AI is giving you that because the data it has been exposed to before now for professionals and successful professionals has been male. And it's nobody's going to know to call it out if you're not on the short end of the stick, you know. So bias, especially unconscious bias in the data we feed AI, translates into biased and unfair decision making, and that is a big risk. So those would be my top three risks for AI as compared to traditional software.
Great. I mean, you said it a lot. And I think the second point that you mentioned around shadow AI is a big deal. As big, it made me remember Samsung ChatGPT incident that happened a few years ago. And this happened because of shadow AI. Like one of their software developers fed ChatGPT with sensitive information. So this is something that is really like pressing. And as a professional business owners, these are the things that we also need to be aware of. If a company that is as big as Samsung can face this kind of AI risk, small business owners, personally, for us that don't even have the safeguard to protect all this information, are also prone to all this AI risk. So thank you so much, Blessing. I'd like to pass the mic to Victoria.
All right, thank you, Blessing. You've said a lot about bias, and my question to you would be, so what practical steps do you suggest or would you advise teams to take to identify and mitigate this bias, especially during model training and deployment? So how would you advise teams or organizations to be able to, identify and mitigate this bias ahead of developing their model or training their AI models?
Yeah, the very first and quick step you can take is make sure that the data you're getting are diverse, representative, and are wide. So, for example, if first of all, those of you who are giving OpenAI your pictures and asking it to generate anime pictures, you are training AI on your pictures. So that's by the way, but I'm bringing that up as an example. So if a group of data, if it's a data team, for instance, they're trying to train their data on what ladies look like, you should be aware that they are tall and short ladies, they are dark and white ladies, they are Indian ladies, they are ethnic ladies. So your data should be as diverse and representative as possible. If you're able to capture that in your data training, then the results that you're going to get from the decisions and the logics that AI makes is very likely going to represent that diversity and representativeness. Again, make sure that you're breaking down, which actually is my second point. Don't just drive for accuracy of your data. Your data must be broken down. You must ensure that the performance of your data is not just hinged on accuracy metrics. It must be hinged on race, gender, geography. Again, that diversity of data cannot be overemphasized. The next point I'll raise is document, document, document. Make sure that with every decision your AI is taking and every training your AI is every round of training your AI model is taken through, you are documenting what data is being fed, what process you're asking it to carry out, what the performance metrics look like. Was there any change in behavior? Was the document everything? And that allows you follow a trend such that you can easily catch it if your AI model is behaving abnormally. You're more likely to be able to catch it and audit, which is actually my next point. Audit. If something goes wrong, I need to audit it because it's actually way easier to audit your traditional system. You just simply have to go back to the basics. You wanted it to do this, it did not do it. What happened? It's very straightforward. But with AI, because it's behaving like a human, why did the AI suddenly behave this way and not this way? So by documenting all the steps you took in that training process and in the performance metrics, it makes it easier for you to audit it. And the next point actually is that you should regularly audit your AI. With your traditional systems, if you want to carry out an audit, probably do it once a year annually, and you're fine. But with AI, you can't really afford that much of a gap because AI is constantly learning, and so the behavior is constantly changing. So you almost always have to do a continuous on-site monitoring of your AI and regular audit and checkup. And then the last point I'll raise is that as you're training your AI and deploying it, make sure that there is a human in the loop button, such that you can fall back. A human can come in and intervene and make decision making at the point of deployment. It is not just all AI driven. Those actually will be my points.
All right, thank you. That absolutely answers it. Over to Renat.
Yeah, so thank you so much about for talking about different ways, different practical steps. I know that our audience are taking notes. Please, we have questions, put it in the comment section. We're going to address it at the end of today's session. And please stay behind to also get to have response to all the questions. So let's say I know that we talked about the practical steps, we've talked about the fundamentals way that AI system introduce risk differently from traditional software. But we also have people that we work with, right? Internally as a team. One of the things that gets to be asked frequently is who should be responsible for AI risk management? Is it the data teams? Is it the legal, compliance, security, products, or is it even a combined effort, right? Where do each team stand when it comes to governance of AI and also AI risk management as a whole?
Yeah, so if you're talking about AI governance, it's kind of going to be unwise. Obviously, by now we know that technology risk is not an IT problem. You cannot leave it for the IT persons. And in this case with AI, it definitely has to be a collaborative effort. It cannot be a problem for compliance. It cannot just be a problem for legal, and it certainly cannot just be a problem. Okay.
Yeah, he has been removed.
That was fun. Okay. So AI risk management is a responsibility for everyone, particularly all the teams you mentioned, because they are the ones impacted. We're talking about legal department and the data teams themselves, the product department, compliance. It's a shared responsibility. But having said that, because again, I have to emphasize for AI risk management, the responsibility is a collaborative team. You cannot banish it to be an IT problem or a data problem or a compliance problem. Everyone has a part to play. But having said that, there's a saying that if you leave something for somebody to do, nobody's going to do it. So in as much as is a collaborative effort, each of these teams, it's important that the responsibility is outlined and assigned to them. So yes, AI risk management is everybody's business. Okay, we're back.
I think I've finally removed the person.
Yeah.
Sorry for the breakout. Yeah, I finally removed the person here.
Yeah, so AI risk management is everybody's responsibility. However, we can say, data engineers, data scientists, data teams, this part of the responsibility is yours. You're responsible for ensuring that our data is diverse. If it is not diverse, we're holding you responsible for that. You're responsible for ensuring that our AI models are fair, are robust, they're inclusive. We are holding you responsible for that part of risk management. And we can pick up legal. Hi, guys, you guys are responsible for enlightening us on the regulatory responsibilities. What does regulation say? What is our responsibilities towards GDPR in managing our AI models? What is there an AI act we have to follow? You're responsible for that part of AI risk management. Compliance, ensure that operationally we are on board, monitoring and controls are ongoing, and you're letting the organization or the leadership know that this is what we're doing, this is where we're going, this is where we're falling short. Or product team, you're responsible for making sure that we're using AI responsibly in our product. You're responsible for ensuring ethical designs, ethical decision making, making sure that the AI we're putting out there is safe. So by defining it in that way and by function, everyone can interact with that responsibility and know exactly what is expected of them. And again, that collaborative team will be in play. So that will be my take on that.
Right. Thank you so much, Blessing. This is, like I used to say, risk management, cybersecurity is a cross-functional effort, and thank you for shedding lights on it. So on the next topic, on the next question, we have Folashade here, who is also a co-founder, and she will be talking about the next questions that we have.
Oh, thanks, Blessing, for having me. For coming, sorry, for joining us today. Okay, so I think my question will be, what are the examples of AI scenarios business should prepare for that traditional software risk models often overlook? Do you want me to say that again?
Yeah, please.
Okay, sorry about that.
Can
Okay,
you
my question is actually, what are the oh, okay.
can you hear her?
Can you hear me now?
I can
Yeah,
pick
yeah. I think I can hear her now, though, I think.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now,
yeah.
Folashade.
Okay. So my question to you is, what are the examples of AI risk scenarios business should prepare for that traditional software risk models often overlook?
What are the examples of AI risk scenarios
Yeah.
that business should prepare for that traditional software will overlook? Yeah.
Yes.
Was that the question?
Yes, please.
Okay. Um, so AI, utilizing AI in your organization definitely means that you'll be working at scale. You'll be able to achieve things more efficiently, faster. You'd you'd be able to scale basically and work in a faster and more efficient environment. However, AI, again, it kind of ties into that AI risks factoring. By using AI, you would now be concerned with things like fairness, bias, um, unlike the traditional software. So traditional software, what would be concerned with your traditional software at work and on everything, everywhere else that you use it, what you're mostly concerned with is the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of your systems. But with AI, you're in addition to that, you're now worried about the decisions that the AI in which you are deploying it, is it bringing out fair decisions? So case in point, in the US, for instance, there aren't exactly AI laws, regulatory laws like we have in the EU that is universal and binding. However, there's been an increase in suits, court cases against organizations that people perceive have been unfair and biased in their deployment of AI. So, for example, there was this case far back as 2019, was it? Where companies were taken to court because the AI system deployed to allow for who would get a mortgage to get a house and who wouldn't. The AI appeared to be biased.
Yeah.
Black communities, marginalized communities were constantly not getting granted for mortgage applications that were submitted. And so they took them to court because, I mean, why is your AI being biased against us? So things like fairness, things like unbiased, biasness, transparency, that your AI has made a decision, your AI product or platform has made a decision. By what means did it arrive at that decision? You have to be able to explain and give avenues for that AI decision to be challenged. Now, these things I'm saying, they're not things for 2030. These are things that are already happening. So organizations that deploy AI have to be ready to defend. You have to be ready to communicate and be transparent about what your AI is doing. So like I said earlier, in the EU, there's the EU AI Act. And with the EU AI Act, AI platforms like chatbots, they are considered as relatively low risk, I think about medium risk. And the only requirement the EU Act has of it is that, be transparent. Just anytime somebody is chatting an AI-powered chatbot, the person should be made aware that, oh, this is an AI-powered chatbot. You're speaking with an AI and not a person. However, things like using AI to do facial recognition for, say, the police force has been prohibited. The risk is that ordinarily, we know that sometimes people, especially in the Western world, Black people, people of color, were easily misidentified because they're not kind of used to our features. Now, imagine that bias being fed into AI in the police department. They're going to arrest a lot of misidentified people. And so in the EU, they said, no, you're not allowed to use that. It's prohibited. So these are kind of like the scenarios that we will be now walking into even more and more, the more the use of AI is being made ubiquitous. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Blessing, for mentioning that. I think you mentioned something about the housing market prediction. And yeah, that made me exactly what happened to Zillow about giving people forceful information about, no, they are not able to like get mortgage because their AI misbehave. And so that is really like a real big thing that is happening to even like big companies. And I like to see the fact that the risks are there. People are not really prioritizing it. We are seeing the opportunities. Innovation comes with risk, potential risk. And as much as we want to explore all the different ways, use cases to use AI, even on a personal level, people are using it to generate pictures. People are feeding their own personal information. And I mean, even in creating resume, right? People put in and feed ChatGPT with different information that like their house address, their personal, their phone numbers, a whole lot of things. So thank you so much for like mentioning the likely risk that comes with like AI. So we are, let me say, maybe moving towards the end of our discussion before we open the floor. I can see we have some questions. People are curious to know more about the shadow AI that you mentioned. So another challenge that we are facing today is third-party tools, right? Companies are integrating third-party AI tools in their systems. It's not all companies that can afford to build their own tools. Just like the way the Samsung leak happened, that happened to be like an external tool that one of their employees used. So from your own perspective, what do you suggest companies should look for when they are assessing the risk of third-party tools? If I want to, or if they want to get a third-party tools, what are the things that they should assess before they get that? That they
Okay.
can actually like fully inspect on?
Yeah. So the first thing I would say is that whether it is AI or traditional software, the principles of risk management, even though because AI comes with new risk, you kind of have to look at you're identifying new risk and new frontiers, but the principles are kind of essentially the same. If you wanted to onboard a third party as an organization today and you were carrying out cybersecurity checks and due diligence, is expected, the principles, the good best practice dictates that you carry out due diligence, you test the system, carry out audit checks, check for their records and documentation, find out if they're following, if they're compliant with and standards and frameworks and best practices. And in fact, check if they are compliant with the regulations you comply with. So if, for example, if your organization follows ISO 27001 for best practice for your information security, and you want to onboard a third-party traditional software, one of the things you'll be looking out for is, are they ISO 27001 compliant? And so it kind of carries over with third-party AI tools. So again, similarly, one, due diligence. Ensure that you're find out all you can about this third-party vendor, about the AI platform they're trying to sell to you. Review the documentation. Are they documenting the activities of their AI? Review it. Find out because you're allowed to, and you can demand same in the contract that you sign with them. Find out what the performance of this AI has been like. What are the anomalies that has come up? What are the scenarios that has come up? Has there been any breach in the past 12 months with their AI? Things like that. What is their risk framework? We have lots of AI risk frameworks currently. One of the one that comes top of my head is ISO 42001, I think. There are a lot of them. what risk framework is their AI in compliance with? Is it compatible with the risk framework that your AI is compliant with? Things like that. Negotiate SLAs, which is my second point. When you're negotiating a contract with this third-party vendor, you've carried out due diligence and you're satisfied, negotiate service level agreement. This is the performance at which the AI is expected to perform, below which we're going to have to ask questions, we're going to have to carry out audits, these are things that are going to happen. Put in safeguards. If the AI is performing at this low level, then we have the right to call off the contract, exit clauses, protect yourself. And these are things that would normally be expected in a normal third-party vendor administration. So it's not very different. The third one is AI risk assessments, regular on point AI risk assessment should be carried out, reviewing the AI platform. And then finally, just ensure that you have a right to independent audit. So like in my organization, I have third-party organizations and I serve as a third party as well to other organizations, and they have the right to come in and be like, hi, we would like to audit your platform. The same thing with AI. Ensure that that right to independent audit is right there in the clause. And with that, you should be fairly fine.
Great. Thank you so much for shedding light on that. I also noted some things down. Now, I would also ask you when during the Q&A session, because I'm also an attendee. Victoria, do you want to ask one more question before we move to the final lap of the round?
Yeah, I think Blessing had mentioned so much about everybody having a compliance responsibility with regards ensuring that AI risks are mitigated within the organization. But my question to you would be, what roles do you think business leaders, particularly board members, executive officers within an organization, what role do you think they should ensure they take on to ensure that they are accountable for AI governance within the organization? Because, most times everybody just feel this is somebody's responsibility. But you've clarified that everyone needs to, take that responsibility and ensure due diligence. However, one of the issues we have within organization today is senior management taking ownership of AI governance generally. Sometimes, people want to push responsibilities and all. So my question would be, what role or how do you think business leaders and board members, executive can, ensure AI accountability and governance is assured within the organization?
Okay. So I would like to actually even start with, what we're basically discussing is AI risk and how it's different from traditional software risk. At the end of the day, it is still risk. So people, process, and technology is still the risks that people pretend, technology pretends, and technology processes pretend. And in this case, the technology we're looking at is AI. So it's kind of, again, the same principle. So the first stab at it would be that leadership, the board, first of all, they have to take ownership of AI risk. AI risk, again, I have to emphasize, is not an IT problem. It is not different from financial risk. The board takes ownership on financial risk. If your company is no longer going to be a going concern, the board will be very actively involved in that. Cybersecurity risk, legal risk, operational risk. AI risk is not different from these are all types of risk. And so the board has to take ownership of all of them, put it in the same category, treat it with the same level of seriousness. And so that's really the first step. Own your strategic AI risk. Because if you do not own it, it's not going to get measured. It's not going to get followed through. It's not going to be treated with the seriousness that it deserves. And you're going to end up dropping the ball there. And then the second thing that leaders and board members basically can do is to set the tone from the top. It should be in your AI. You should have an AI governance at the very least, and set the tone from the top. When your staff see that at the board level, AI risk is taken as seriously, everybody else is going to fall into line. Imagine an organization where you're trying to sell cybersecurity risk and you're trying to teach on cybersecurity risk, and everybody else knows that the leadership doesn't really care. Nobody else is going to really care. It's the same thing with AI risk. These leaders have to set the tone from the top. And the third thing, which I think is really important, is that board members and executives should gain AI literacy. AI literacy is not just for the data engineers and the compliance people and everybody else working on AI. You would be surprised that a lot of top leaders may not necessarily be as AI literate as you would like them to be. And because they are not, they cannot appreciate the risk and everything else that the AI risk manager is thinking of and considering. And so board members need to get AI literacy. Once they get AI literate, they can better appreciate the risk that it provides and the recommendations that the risk manager is providing to the organization. And then fourthly, drive a culture where AI risk is AI risk when flagged is rewarded. One big thing that I recently my eyes got open to was that a lot of big companies, there's this program they have, bounty hunting, where people are paid to find out vulnerabilities in their platforms. And once you identify, depending on the seriousness of the vulnerability, you get a big payday. And because of that, there are lots of bounty hunters. They are getting paid and the company is getting better secure. If you're able to create that kind of culture in your organization where ethical AI practices are celebrated and rewarded, AI risk is ingrained into the culture where if you're able to navigate AI risks correctly, there's an incentive to reward you. It will go a long way in getting the whole organization to fall in line. And then finally, the board should be requesting and reviewing an AI risk report similar to the general risk report, highlighting the AI and risk that AI provides and finding out what is being done about it. So those would be my 5 points on what board members and executives could do about it.
Spot on, Blessing. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for mentioning all those things. It's been an amazing over 40 minutes that we've been talking about this, and we would like to open the floor to our attendees. So I know there are some questions here that we'll bring up, and at the same time, if you want to speak, please do use the emoji to raise up your hands and we'll give you the floor to ask your questions. Whether you have any questions, you have a contribution, whatever you want to talk about, please let us know. And based on the first question that I have here, think someone asked something around, can you shed more light on shadow AI?
Okay. Shadow AI is not, maybe I should start with shadow IT because that's the one that's very well generally known. So the idea, shadow, it means in the dark, right? So you work in your organization has given you a desktop or a laptop. You have an IT guy for anything that goes wrong in your system and all of that. You have Microsoft Word, you have Microsoft Excel, you have all the tools that you need. And then let's say for some reason there's a glitch and your Microsoft Word is not working. Instead of running to your IT person in the office, you decide to meet somebody that you know has the pirated version of Microsoft Word. And he gets it on your laptop. How does he get it on your laptop? He inserts a CD or inserts something, and suddenly you have a brand new surface, attack surface. The virus can get into your laptop. Some kind of access that was previously not given to the outside world is suddenly there. And that's how shadow IT works, and that's how it presents risk. In the same way, shadow AI works in the same way. So in your organization, not a lot of organizations have customized AI platforms. I do know some organizations that they've customized AI such that the company owns the AI platform, they own the servers. So if, say, a law company customizes AI, they would have uploaded all of their regulation on it. Again, the company owns the servers. So if anybody in the company wants to find out about a regulation or a law, they just simply ask the customized AI, the ChatGPT, and it gives you the answer. But not all organizations have that. So you're working in your company, you don't have a customized company branded ChatGPT or OpenAI as the case may be, but you want to ask something, you're working on an email that you want to send, you're working on a data report, a strategic report that contains your company's products and different specifications and all of that, and you need to make it smarter. The next thing, what a lot of people do is that they open ChatGPT, which is the very popular one, and they feed that document, that very sensitive document, straight into ChatGPT. And ChatGPT gives you an optimized result and you're happy and you go on with it. What you've done is that OpenAI is open source. The company does not own the servers. That data is now in the public space. It is now even worse where you are a developer or somebody that codes and all of those software developer functions, and you're trying to code something for your organization, you're hitting a roadblock, and then you go to ChatGPT or you go to open source like GitHub and pick a code there and put it in your organization, and boom, that code has been adopted. Lots of times, I've recently even got to know that lots of times the codes on open source AI like GitHub, they have authentication and keys embedded in those codes, ready for anybody to just pick it up. A threat vector will just simply use a chatbot. Once it somehow gains access to your coding software and your platforms, just use a chatbot to read for those authorization keys, gets it. He's inside the organization. So that shadow AI, it doesn't belong to your company. That's why it is shadow. Your company is not aware of it. It's external, and it has essentially become an attack surface. So that's the idea of shadow AI, if that's clear.
Yeah, thank you. I think the person also like said that. Yeah, that's cool. And thank you for shedding light on the shadow AI. We have another person. I think that was the first person that talks about where do I start from if I want to get an understanding of AI risk, whether as a cybersecurity person or even if the person is not even in cybersecurity. Where would you advise, or what would be your insights into people that want to gain more understanding into AI and probably possible risk?
Okay, so I would say platforms like this are a good place to start. When you come for webinars and, essentially they're usually free, and you are able to listen to thought leaders or experts in their field, you have learned something. There's lots of things you probably didn't know before you joined this webinar. You now know them. You're in a position to talk to somebody else. If you did not learn any of that and you learned about shadow AI, that's something new. So those are places to go actually. And then there are lots of free resources. Like I mentioned earlier, in the EU now, there's the EU AI Act, and part of the requirement is AI literacy. So now the EU government has deployed free resources to train their citizens on AI, ethical use of AI, and the risks that it presents. There are free resources from there. So you can simply go online, check for free resources on EU AI Act, free resources on AI risk management, EU's resources on AI. And there are lots of resources that you can get for free. If you are a member of professional bodies, even if you're not a cybersecurity person, so for example, I'm a member of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, which is not a cybersecurity body. They hold webinars on AI and how it impacts you as an accountant. So if you're a member of a professional body, attend the webinars. They usually talk about AI and how it's impacting their work, and you can learn a lot from them. And then finally, if you're part of networking groups, like Technovel, you're part of networking groups, you'll be able to speak with other like-minded professionals, and AI is a hot topic. You're definitely going to learn about AI and the risk in those groups. So that would be my talking point, I guess.
Hey, oh yeah, thank you, Blessing. I think the person that asked the question regarding shadow AI asked a follow-up question regarding, I usually see people ask for cracked versions of certain applications, just like, asking for, you need a license to download some application just to bypass probably payments or limitations to certain. Is this it, or is it similar to shadow AI? Like, is downloading or asking for cracked version of an app similar to shadow AI?
So the scenario just painted is actually shadow IT, but it's the same principle. Essentially, it's the same principle, yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. And Adiza asked one question. I know someone answered, but in case you want to shed more light regarding, I wanted to inquire about data security, particularly regarding HR information. Is it feasible to use AI considering the sensitivity of this type of information?
Okay, so again, big disclaimer, AI is not a bad thing. It's how you use it that counts. AI is not a bad, it's just technology. So, I started with, when we're talking about risk, we're talking about risk with people, risk with technology, risk with process. AI is just another technology. So with that gives a new type of risk, but it's still technology, is still the same principle. So in terms of data and using AI, like I said, there are some large organizations that I know, some consulting firms, some law firms that actually have customized their own version of Gen AI. And like I said, they have the servers, they have everything, so that anything you put into that ChatGPT stays within the organization. They own it. So it's not going out there, it's not going anywhere. But for other companies or other people, even the individual that wants to use AI or wants to use it safely and responsibly, then the next step you would be expected to take is that before you put data or information into OpenAI, ensure that you have obfuscated. By that, I mean removed or changed any personally identifiable data, any critical and sensitive information. So instead of just a very general example, I have an email from John, my CEO, giving me all the strategic information of company A and telling me to do something with it. And I want to put that in AI and ask AI to do it. What I do is I painstakingly go through that information. John changes to Rachel. Company A changes to company Z. Anything that is identifiable and traceable to my company has to be changed or totally removed. I don't need to copy the full email. I can just copy exactly what I need and go through that and make sure that any personally identifiable data or any sensitive data or anything that can be traced to my company is removed. And once I've done that, then we can pass it to OpenAI or ChatGPT, and it goes from there. If you're the software developer that seeks code from open source, first of all, I would discourage that. I would definitely discourage that. But you now have to now pay more attention. If you're taking codes from open source, are you ensuring that it is secure? Are you going through it and scrubbing it and making sure that it meets with best practice and standards and framework before you deploy? Those are some things you need to do to ensure data security. In all, just make sure that you are conscious of the data you put out there. The way we are now more cybersecurity conscious, we're like, oh, you get to a place, don't post about it while you are still there. Don't give your live location. Don't, when you're taking pictures, your credit card should not be showing in the picture. It's the same level of security consciousness that you need in giving. AI is easy, it's fun, so you think you can trust it. You can't. The data you're putting in there, make sure you're going through it, make sure you're scrubbing it, make sure you're obfuscating it, and then you're putting it there and getting it. That's safe and responsible way of using AI to make sure that your data is still protected. So yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Blessing. I have a personal question. It is regarding for professionals. I know you talked about stakeholders getting involved into when it comes to AI literacy. For us to talk about AI risk, the stakeholders need to know what AI in its entirety is. Now, for professionals like me that want to get stakeholders buy-in into, oh yes, you introduced new AI, you came up with, oh, let's start embedding AI. But as a cybersecurity person, how can I, get stakeholders buy-in when it comes to the security part of the AI tools? Because I feel like the top management are one of the key people to get the buy-in. But if they don't have the buy-in, there's no way we want to even embed it into our practices. So how can I evangelize it? Let me say that. The risk management practices to stakeholders.
Okay, yeah. So again, it kind of shares similar principles with if you're trying to get stakeholder buy-in for cybersecurity practices.
Yes.
You'll be telling them if there's a law, you'll be telling them that there's a law that actually says it. Like if you don't do it, you're not compliant, and these are the penalties, and these are the things. That's one. Similar to AI's security practices as well. You'll be selling them the law. So if you're in the EU, for instance, the first thing I'll be telling you is that we have an EU AI Act. You absolutely must do it because there are legal consequences. And nothing gets people faster than you have to pay a fine. It gets their attention immediately. So that's one way. Again, if you're organization has always been the type, for example, I work in an organization that believes in best practices. So I just need to find a standard or a framework, even if there's no law or regulation. I'll be like, oh, best practice dictates that we follow ISO 42001. And they're going to listen to me because they pride themselves in working with best practice. Another thing you can do is to show how security benefits them. It could come in form of giving them case studies of organizations that flaunted AI security measures and how it ended badly. So case in point, I think in 2019, there was this, what company was that? It was AMZ. It was an employment company, and they deployed AI to run through CVs and resumes and applications to determine which people they were going to support and which people they were not going to support to find jobs. The AI they deployed, they came out to say that, oh, they provided documentation on the AI they deployed, and it came out that, oh, so there are three groups of people that they felt that they did not need support, they were going to get the job anyway, people that they felt that even if you supported them, they're not going to get the job, and people that they felt that if you support, they need the support, if you support them, they will get the job. And they deployed it in 2019. What country was that? That was Austria. It was in Austria. So after a while, it turned out that people realized that women with children were not getting supported by the organization. Women with same qualifications as men that were getting supported, same women, same qualifications, same experience, or even better. Once it's noted that they have children, that organization was not supporting them. And they were like, why? And the company said, oh, their AI platform grouped women with children into the category that even if you help them, they will not be able to get a job. And it caused uproar. Like, people came at that company. It's a real company. People came at them like, what do you mean? It was a whole thing. Their brand image was tarnished. And by 2020, the government of that place issued a directive that the company was in breach of data protection laws. Now, you would ask your stakeholders, would you like to be that company? You would automatically lose trust. Your customers would dump you. It's a horrible nightmare, you know. And then again, that's on the negative side. On the positive side, you could also find case studies of where AI security has probably boost profitability and all of that. There are some examples, none readily comes to mind, but I know of this company in China that started working with AI to give credit loans to people. And what they found out was that with the use of AI, the number of loans that they gave out increased massively to as much as 150%. And the failure rates, the rate at which people were not paying, remained the same. It did not change. Now, imagine that company with that story having deployed AI security measures, and you sell that story to the board, they're going to buy in. But as with every other thing, it's a process. It's not an event. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. But it's a process that stakeholder buying into AI security measure is a process. It's kind of like a journey, and there's a lot of activities in between no security and AI security maturity. It's a process. So that would be my take.
Yeah, thank you, Blessing. Thank you for talking about that and for giving us actionable steps. And we have one person that has been raising up his hand. I'm sorry that got missed out. And this will be the last question that will be taken for the day. Ibrahim, would you like to take the floor?
All right, thank you so much for the opportunity, and thanks the amazing speaker for the insight so far. And my question is, we all understand that AI has been helpful in the industry, both in cybersecurity and our daily lives. AI enhance detective and also response to cybersecurity. So, Blessing, here is my question. How can cybersecurity professional balance the innovative advantage of AI with ethical risks it poses, particularly regarding to privacy, bias, accountability, and dual risk threats, without introducing new vulnerability?
Okay, so in a nutshell, if I got it correctly, your question is how can businesses strike a balance between innovation and responsible use of AI?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Yeah.
In terms of bias, accountability, dual risk threats without introducing new vulnerabilities?
Okay. So there's something I like to say. With great power comes great responsibility. Now, personally, I'm the kind of person that I love innovation. I'm a risk professional, right? But I love innovation. And whenever new innovations come, my first response is yes. That's my first response. And then by saying yes, I'm saying that I am committing to the responsibility of documenting the risk and finding ways to overcome them. AI is the innovation that we cannot do without. AI is already here. AI is already manifesting in so many ways that we may not even be conscious of at the moment. It's one innovation that we cannot afford to ignore. It's going to be here. So as professionals, how do we balance innovation and risk along the points? Because with AI comes those points you've talked about, fairness, bias, and all of that. The first thing I think that would help professionals is risk tiering. Now, in your use of AI, there are some products that are not of so much consequence. Nobody's going to die if it goes wrong. Case in point, your Netflix recommendations. If you watch a movie today, Netflix is going to tell you, because you watched movie A, here are 10 other movies that we think you would love. That recommendation thing is actually AI. Now, if AI gets it wrong, if that Netflix recommendation gets it wrong and gives you horrible movies, okay, so you have horrible movies, you have to spend extra time, right? Getting good movies, but nothing of consequence. No one is going to die, no world-ending event. But if you take it to the company that has a product that is literally determining who gets financial aid and who doesn't, those are more serious consequences. If you take it to a hospital that is using AI to administer treatment, someone could die. Those are more serious consequences. So companies and risk professionals, what you could do is that for the product that you want to put out there, for the AI-powered product that you want to put out there, what are the impacts? What is the level of riskiness, and tier it. So the platforms, the products that have more world impact, more consequences, stronger consequences, those ones should have a stronger level of AI governance. And then for the ones that doesn't really have heavy consequences, they can afford to have a lighter touch of AI governance. And that way, your innovation is going. You can get quick wins, especially for things like chatbots, recommendation movies, recommender settings, and things like that. So by tiering it, you can divide your resources. It allows you to still innovate, but the ones that are more risky, you pay more attention. You have more scrutiny, more regulatory focus, and things like that. And I think that's one of the best ways you can balance innovation and risk. And that will also take care of that thing of fairness and bias. So for a hospital, you can't afford for your AI to be biased. So you have to pay more attention there. But if your Netflix AI is biased, okay, nobody's going to get hurt. So that risk tiering, I think, is very important and something that can help. And then maybe the last thing I would say is excuse me, that focus on fairness and bias when you are developing AI products from the start, your focus should be, because this is the new risk that AI brings from the start, from the point of development, from inception. How can we ensure that the AI data is fair and unbiased? The way we always recommend that, with your traditional software systems, cybersecurity must be from the start. It must be from the start of that product, not at the end where compliance will come and tick it that it's fine. No, from the development stage, carry compliance and cybersecurity along. In the same way with your AI product, from the very start, fairness and bias must be the focus, how to ensure that. So I think those would be my 2 points on the subject.
Thank you, Blessing. Thank you to our amazing guest speaker and to all the attendees that joined and those that stayed till now. We want to say thank you so much for joining. I know we ran a little bit after time, but yeah, if you have any questions after today's session, please feel free to chat us or tag us on LinkedIn. And if you also want to post about things that you learned today, you feel free to post it on LinkedIn, tag our amazing guest speaker, talk about things that you learned. What happened to be the highlight of today's session? Tag TechNovel. We want to hear the feedback. We want to know how impactful this session is, and we'll be happy to get reviews. We also have our feedback form posted that those that haven't filled it. So we'd like to also get feedback to improve on our subsequent roundtables. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining. This will be the end of today's session. We hope to see you next month. This is monthly, so please watch out, join our community as we post more information about TechNovel and any other initiatives that will be launching. Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, let me stop.